For every game jam that I do, I try to focus my energy on one aspect of game development that I want to get better at. Last jam, I wanted to try communicating a theme or a message through my game. This time around, I had one word in mind: polish. I've seen so many reviews of games that say things like, the core mechanic is so polished, or this game could use some polish. But what really defines a polished game? Is it great art, fun gameplay, or good music? All of that stuff factors into any good game, but they don't really define what polish is. To me, polish in games is all the little things that may not seem important, but could end up making a world of difference in the final product. The snappiness of a jump, the perfect sound effect for an explosion, aesthetically pleasing color combinations, animated UI, these all make up the polish of a game. Polish is so important to player experience, and it's something that I've admittedly never done right. So for the Wowie Game Jam, I had 72 hours to create the most polished game possible. I wasn't too concerned with making groundbreaking levels or visuals, I just wanted to make a game that looked and felt great. The jam's theme was failure is progress. So my idea was to make a 2D platformer where you would crush yourself under doors and come back to life in the shape that you died. This would allow you to travel through narrow pathways that you wouldn't have been able to fit through prior to being crushed. Any polished platformer starts with a solid jump mechanic, so I made sure to get that right first. In real life, jumps are parabolic, where the same amount of time is spent going up as coming down. In games though, realistic jumps feel a bit floaty and unpolished. To get a jump that feels more responsive, less time should be spent on the way down from the jump's peak. This can be achieved by simply adding a multiplier to the player's vertical velocity when it is negative. Once I was happy with the jump, I wanted to polish the visuals a bit. To make polished visuals, you don't have to be an amazing artist. For example, Thomas Was Alone is an extremely polished game, and its visual style is almost exclusively squares. To make my game look better, I just found a color combination that I liked, placed some 2D lights, and used some post-processing to get a nice glow. Visual polish doesn't come from complexity, it comes from consistency. With the visuals set, I moved on to animating the crush. I wanted it to feel sharp and look satisfying. Since I was using simple visuals, this was actually pretty easy to achieve, and I only had to fine-tune the timing of each transition. To top it off, I added a particle system to really drive home the explosive effect. With the movement, visuals, and animations in place, I was able to whip up a few solid levels. Now normally for a game jam, I would just throw a menu on it and be done. But to achieve a fully polished game, I needed to add some UI elements and some solid sound effects to tie it all together. For menus and buttons, I used a very heavy font and stuck to the color scheme. I also animated the buttons when they were highlighted by the mouse using Unity's event system. It gave my menus more life and more responsiveness, and in turn, more polish. For sounds, I used an amazing 8-bit generator called JSFXR. You can just click the type of sound you want and then fine-tune it to your liking. I'm not the best with sound design, so this was actually a really great tool for me. I was able to create sounds for jumping, crushing, exiting, and hovering over buttons. After licensing a soundtrack from soundimage.org, Crush was finally complete. Although the levels aren't too challenging or too ambitious in design, I do feel that I have a polished game, and I'm happy that people seem to be enjoying it. This jam taught me just how important the little things are to the player experience. Sound design, UI, responsive controls, and cohesive visuals have been afterthoughts in my previous games, but made a world of difference in the quality of this game. I'm excited to implement the same attention to detail in all of my future projects, because I truly believe that polish can separate good games from great ones. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.